Hey, do you know what this is? Yep, it's a motherboard. A motherboard is the main part of the computer. It's a PCB. You have the processor, RAM, peripherals, but what holds it all together? The motherboard. You might think the processor is the main part of the computer, but the processor does effectively nothing unless it is attached to a motherboard. So what are the parts of a motherboard? A port is a connection to outside of the computer. Probably the most famous port is the USB port, which can connect any number of devices to any other compatible device. There are others also, though. What about connections within the computer, like your graphics card? PCI is the standard for internal components to communicate with the processor. PCI devices take the form of cards that fit into slots. RAM is how the computer remembers things in short-term memory. It goes in these slots. There are many different types of RAM slots, and they usually start with DDR. No, not that DDR. Better. Inside a computer is electricity. That electricity needs a source. You may notice that computers are plugged into the wall, but the power actually needs to get from the wall to the motherboard. First, it goes through a device called the power supply, and then it goes here, the motherboard's power connector. There are also some extra power connectors for fans and stuff.
Bunch of fucking wires!
This is where the CPU is connected to the motherboard. Look at all those pins. Only certain types of CPUs can go into certain types of pins, as the number and shape of pins can vary from socket to socket. They still have the same instruction set, though. The firmware has the code that runs first on the machine, called the BIOS. Here you can configure system settings lower than the operating system, that is to say, motherboard settings. They used to use a standard called BIOS, but now it is mostly made up of UEFI. We still use BIOS, though. For long-term storage, the computer needs to be connected to some sort of hard or solid-state drive. To do this, it uses a type of cord called SATA. There were things before SATA, but we won't be talking about that. SATA has a successor called NVMe, which is faster and takes less space. We still use SATA, though. Part 2, Advanced Techniques. Form factors. You can have motherboards of different sizes. Wi-Fi. Some motherboards have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built right in. With overclocking, you can make your processor run faster. In fact, many of these things are standardized and will run on newer or older things.
Bye.